There are tens of thousands of known space debris in low Earth orbit right now. All of that debris comes from man-made activities.
A lot of people talk about space being really congested, and they show this dust cloud around the Earth of all these points, and it looks like space is super, super crowded. I think if you take all the spacecraft that are in orbit, it's equivalent to about 3 aircraft flying over California at one time. So space is so much bigger, so many dimensions that are much beyond what we can comprehend. But even though it's big, there still is a potential that these satellites could collide and could hit each other if we don't proactively share information.
The orbit of objects follow Kepler's laws of motion, explained by Newton's laws of gravitation. So they orbit the Earth in very predictable trajectories as long as another force doesn't act on them. So you can reasonably fit millions of satellites into an orbital shell with that math. Obviously, to make that happen, you have to have really tight coordination between all those satellites, and everything has to work really well together. Starlink satellites make something like 1,000 collision avoidance maneuvers on a daily basis. We predict that a close approach will occur between another satellite or a piece of space debris. We use the thruster of the satellite to make a maneuver and keep away from the trajectory of that object and reduce the probability of collision to effectively zero. Because most of the actual collision risk comes from the surface area of the solar panels, we lower the solar panels to reduce the cross-section in the plane of the close approach to further reduce risk. On Starlink, I'm also excited to talk about a program we call Stargaze. Cameras on the satellites looking up into space, measuring the star field. You can imagine 10,000 satellites staring up into space and detecting all the objects in low Earth orbit. You effectively almost have a real-time view of what's happening in the low Earth orbit environment. So we began detecting objects and fitting orbits to those objects, and currently we're tracking about 50% of the objects with perigees below 600 kilometers. This project has opened our eyes a bit to the activities that are occurring in space that are not being published. So we have many examples in Starlink satellite footage where an object came within tens of meters of a Starlink satellite, yet this was not predicted. This is extremely concerning because this type of incident could have resulted in a collision.
Last year we flew 165 missions to space. As an industry leader, we would like to create a community where all industry providers share data back and forth. They tell us where their spacecraft are, they track their spacecraft as soon as they're deployed, they make them available to others so we know where everyone is. You know, there's some thought that if I keep my satellite position confidential and I don't share that with anyone, no one will know where my satellite is. Well, I think that's really fictitious. So we at SpaceX, we've taken the opposite approach. We've published all our data, we put all our ephemeris data out, we show where our satellites are, we show where we're maneuvering, and I think we're now showing the industry that there is no competitive advantage by not sharing your data. We're demonstrating to the outside world what good practices are. We as an industry have a tremendous obligation at this time, at this formative state, to actually communicate with each other, share best practices, and be good stewards amongst each other. It'll make us better as an industry. It'll give us an industry of the future that will continue to grow, continue to innovate, and help every company to grow and generate revenue.
To maintain safety in low Earth orbit, it's incredibly important that we work together as satellite operators and are very transparent in the activities that we are conducting. I think that an irresponsible satellite operator is one who either doesn't know where their spacecraft is or where it's going to go, or isn't broadcasting that to the world. Space is big, but operators are not always predictable. We want to enable other missions, the Moon and Mars and interplanetary exploration. So ensuring that activities like that can persist for the duration of humanity is incredibly important. You know, fundamentally, I think the message to operators is to be transparent about what you're doing in space, transparent about where your satellite is and where it's going, and make sure you have the tools to ensure that that information is accurate all the time.